today I want to talk about mock tests and how to DIY them at home, and why I think that sometimes mock tests aren't what we think they are or what they should be, especially where the 11 plus exams are concerned. Hi there, this is Joycelyn. I'm the Managing Director of Geek School Tutoring. So, you may have seen my other video where I talk about mock tests in detail and the things to watch out for. I'm still very much, in that same train of thought, basically. Over the decade or so that Geek School has been in operation, every year parents tend to, get very flustered by the results of mock tests provided by these third parties. And, I see the same type of issues cropping up each time. Many of the mock test providers, of course, it's a business, and if they can get parents to at least think that their child needs to do at least a couple of mock tests, then, it's a better result for them all round. Doing a mock test should serve a couple of purposes. One is to get an independent view of how your child is performing. And the other one is to give your child the experience of going somewhere that's unfamiliar to them, which is what it would be like on the day of their grammar or independent school exam, and being around, lots and lots of other children who are sitting the same exam, so that they're used to just having that uncommon and unfamiliar experience. So it's not a shock to the system when they get there. For that reason, I think mock tests can be very useful. I think, however, that sometimes the results are not all that they appear to be, for a number of reasons. We need to think about how these tests are facilitated, how closely they mirror the exam that your child is preparing for, how well they are provided, and so on. And it can be a bit convoluted. I'm not going to reiterate what I have produced in my other video, because like I've said, it's my thinking and my what I've seen hasn't changed since I recorded that video at least a couple of years or 3 years ago. So before we carry on with this amazing video, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications so that you will get notified every time a new Geek School video goes up. Enjoy! But I think that, parents can successfully produce a mock test environment at home. I've done it for my children, both of them, who successfully, passed their grammar and independent school exams, and it's very doable. What you need to do is, have a very structured process, and it can be done. The first thing you need to do is obviously have that conversation with your child. Try and explain to them why the mock test is useful. And why is it useful? Because we just want to see how you will perform under test conditions, and so that we can work on any areas that need to be worked on, and not focus on areas that, you're doing well in. That's just the long and short of it. And so a few things that are important. One, there needs to be a quiet environment. So if your child has younger siblings or older siblings, it's probably an idea to also have that conversation with them, so that they're not dipping and diving into the room in which your child is working, because it doesn't help. We need to try and mirror that kind of calm and quiet environment that exam halls will have. Although, we need to also understand that it's not going to be a pin drop silence environment at all. Invigilators will be walking up and down, observing what the children are doing, and maybe supporting a student who has a question, needs to go to the toilet, you know, maybe can't see the clock or whatever, you know. So they need to be able to block out all of those noises and distractions. And sometimes you get children who misbehave. So, you know, sometimes another child might try and speak to your child during the exam. Yes, it does happen. It's very bizarre. You know, some of them may be, you know, just literally tapping a pen or doing something to disturb another student. It does happen. So you need to try and get your child to be able to ignore, you know, any distractions, because it's, you know, it's obviously good practice for them to be able to ignore all of those things. One thing you will need though is a timer. I don't think that using a timer on, you know, an iPad or another gadget is effective, because they can be a source of distraction. So, you know, literally you could use maybe the kitchen timer. You could get a cheap and cheerful timer from Poundland, or, you know, on Amazon for £1 or a couple of pounds and so on. Something quite visual that the children can see. But I also think it's very important that children use an analog watch, just something, you know, very basic, because digital watches are not allowed in any of these exams. Of course, some of them have, you know, browser functionality, some of them have calculators, and then, you know, you've got all the beeping and so on that they have. So for a while now, they've not been allowed into exams. But obviously a very basic analog watch, which literally just has the numbers on the dial, are a very effective tool to get your child used to checking the time and seeing how much longer they have, so that they speed up if they need to speed up and so on. So you can administer this, you know, print out a paper, and a good place to start is maybe the GL familiarization papers, which are, you know, they mirror the Kent test, for example. If your child will be sitting a SEM style paper, any other paper is not going to necessarily be the mirror that we're expecting, because SEM tries to make their papers preparation proof. They may have a snippet of questions on their familiarization papers, but those papers tend to be so short that they don't even mirror the time for, you know, the entire exam. I wouldn't use independent school papers as mock tests for the grammar school test, because the timing is different, you know, and often the content, the layout, the types of questions are different. So really you want to be using, you know, the likes of GL as your first port of call. And then, you know, you can use 10-minute tests as well. If your child has issues with timing, you can get 10-minute test books to help your child in that way. But I want to reiterate that there really are no SEM approved resources out there. So it's just about helping your child to speed up in particular, and also working on vocabulary in particular for you know, the SEM papers, in particular for the verbal reasoning papers. So just to recap then, a quiet environment, and obviously the buy-in of your child, and a timer. After your child does the mock test, it's really important to mark the paper as soon as possible. Children get very fed up of doing lots of papers when their parents don't mark them. And in a way, you know, it's not in a way, but really it's pointless, because you'll find that your child will make the same mistakes over and over again across different papers. And if you aren't marking the papers and reviewing the papers with them, it's just a lot of repeated errors. So it becomes a pointless exercise. When it comes to creative writing mock tests, however, I think it's very important to be careful of who is marking these papers, you know, and it's important to actually see the errors that your child is making. It's not enough just to get a report on, you know, whether your child's spelling, punctuation and grammar was good enough and whether their structure was good enough. You need to see where the mistakes are being made and for your child to understand how they can be corrected. And this is why at Geek School we have a mock test paper that is video based in marking, so your child doesn't just get to hear how to correct those papers, but they actually see where they've made the mistakes, how, and learn how to correct those mistakes, and they see what they're doing correctly and what they should obviously continue doing, because it's not all going to be bad. Most children will have some strengths and some weaknesses, and if we can just work within a particular domain of, you know, improving those weaknesses and keeping those strengths, their writing will only improve. So I will put a link up so that you can see, you know, our mock test for creative writing. There are two packages generally, one that just has the marking and one that's video based. Both very effective, but the preference is the video based. It's like watching over the shoulder of a tutor marking the papers. So that's it. I hope that was helpful. And of course, if you have any questions, by all means, send them in the comments. I'm always happy to help, and see you all soon. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for watching. Do you need help with your writing? Don't forget to check out Geek School Tutoring's online writing courses at www.the11plusessay.co.uk. We have everything from creative writing courses to English comprehension courses and English grammar and punctuation courses, just to name a few. Remember to like, comment and subscribe to our channel and to switch on your notifications so you know when our next video goes up. Bye.